Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to some McLaren launch reaction. Yes, earlier today McLaren launched their MCL35 and I've got to say, very impressed. I am loving the look of that livery. Alright, I'll hold my hands up and admit I really have my heart set on a white and papaya livery, but that's because people on social media make some bloody brilliant concept liveries. But I should have known better. Still though, this looks fantastic. I'm absolutely loving the matte finish. And although I did like the geometric shapes, if you like, at the back of the car, the way they had the blue last year, I genuinely do think that blue has been very nicely integrated into this year's car. Really impressed, because I was a little concerned actually, because I really like that whole papaya and blue livery they had last year. And then Zach Brown back in December was teasing a radical change or a substantial change. But it's not been that radical, yet I think it's enough of a change to keep those of us happy who like to see, again, little changes here and there. I don't know, by the way, how many times I said changes in that little section there, so apologies. But all in all, loving the look of it. One thing I do want to point out on this car, though, in terms of the livery side of things, before I go any further, that halo looks really nicely integrated in that orange. Or that papaya, sorry. I must remember to call it papaya and not orange. Let me know in the comment section what you think, but I think that looks so much better than a black halo. Doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. That's a good way to put it. So, as I'm sure you'll know if you've watched the other launch videos on the channel, I've been doing a little game of spot the difference with all of the cars so far. But I'm going to change it up a little bit, and by change it up I mean literally change the name of this section. That's basically it. So instead of spot the difference, I'm going to pick out 5 areas of interest, or points of interest on the car. Usual, boring disclaimer caveat at this point. I'm not technically minded, I don't pretend to be, but I like to think I can spot changes and interesting areas on the car. And believe me, if you're getting bored of hearing that, I'm getting bored of saying it. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, let's get on with it. So first of all, in this side-by-side, you see what I mean by just changing the name and not actually changing the section. But anyway, looking at these side-by-sides, the MCL35 on the left and the MCL34 on the right both have very similar caped noses, but I would argue there's been some evolution in that area on the newer car. So it's evolved, but it's not dissimilar, if that makes sense. Probably not. Moving on. Sticking with the nose, you can see right on the tip there, the nose stub if you like. There has definitely been a change there. There's no opening at the moment, but I must stress, this is just the launch spec. This is just a launch spec render and will probably change before testing, let alone Australia. So an opening could appear there at any point, really. And I think the nose cone looks pretty much the same, maybe slightly narrower. Or that could just be the crop of the two pictures making it look that way, but it does appear a little bit more narrow to me. At the rear of that car, from what you can see in these renders, that is definitely more defined. And of course, all those bulges and whatnot are there to aid cooling. As a result of that, the side pods are definitely slimmer. And I've got to say, the whole thing looks very neatly packaged towards the rear of that car. Fourth thing I want to draw your attention to is the roll hoop, or what I call the airbox. Do people still call it the airbox, or is that just me? The MCL35 has the 4 inlets to it now, whereas last year's MCL34 had just the one big oval-shaped hoop. It's more of a triangle now in terms of structure. And the last area of interest for me, anyway, is on the barge boards. I think they look slightly simpler. Is simpler a word? It is now slightly more simple than they did last year. But I think that's probably due to the fact that this is the launch spec car. So what I mean is if we look at last year's launch spec car, or the renders of last year's car, versus what it looked like on track in Mexico, you can see that a lot of things changed in that time. So I think we'll see a lot of development there between now and testing, and certainly again before the first race in Australia. But they are just 5 initial areas of interest. There are quite a few of you out there, I'm sure, with much better eyes for this than me. So, as ever, feel free to post your comments below on things that you've spotted on the MCL35. But anyway, let's round this one up then. All in all, a very nice looking car. Absolutely adore the livery. I'd probably argue it's the best livery we've seen so far. Although I did really love the Haas one. But I think the McLaren just trumps it. And you know, to my untrained eye, it doesn't look as though there's been any massive changes to that car, just some very nice little bits of evolution. But with the step they took last year, that's all they really needed to do this season. And with 2021 on the horizon, they were never going to go mad. But that being said, they have still done a little bit more than I was expecting. I cannot wait to see that thing on track, and I really hope, fingers crossed, that McLaren are in that fight to be top of the midfield again. I think we're in for a great scrap in that midfield this year. It was so close in 2019, and with this year again being evolution, not revolution, we could potentially be looking at an even closer fight in that battle to be best of the rest, top of that midfield. Let's just hope the World Feed director bothers to show us some of it this year, because it'd be great to see some of that action. That is it though for this one. You can let me know your thoughts on the MCL35 in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you think it is the best livery we've seen so far? And what have you spotted that has piqued your interest? I will of course be back tomorrow with reaction to the launch that I think a lot of us have been really looking forward to, and that is of course AlphaTauri. And in that same video I will also show off some of the stuff from Mercedes when they reveal the W11 proper. Don't forget, you can, in the meantime, follow me over on social media with all of the links you need for that in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all again tomorrow. Bye-bye.